All right, so I'm back and I've got this thing fully reassembled again from the disassembly video. We're going to be talking about our first start. We're going to be prepping with gas, oil, and then talking about the app. So let's check it out. And coming over here, we're just going to use for break-in. I'm only going to let this run for a half hour under partial load or a light load. I'm just going to go ahead and use the included oil. So we got this premium 12 fluid ounces of 10W30 oil, which is 355 milliliters. We're just going to use that. I'm going to use this little paper funnel they provide with it, and we're going to pour it in the engine to make sure it's got oil. Now again, I'm only going to let this run for a half hour, and then I'm going to drain the oil hot and take a look at what comes out. And as always, I expect brand new engine oil for a generator like this to look a little bit cloudy. It's going to look sparkly. It's going to have some metal content to it. That's all normal. So unless there's a huge amount of particulates in there, I'm not going to be worried about it. But anyways, I got this thing back together. Let's add oil. We have added our oil, and as you can see, the oil right at the end of that was 12 fluid ounces. It's basically 100% full without overflowing. That's exactly what this engine takes. So let me put the oil cap on. We'll drop this thing down and get her fired up. Prior to filling up our generator with fuel, use fuel stabilizer. Now, the trick is you don't add it to your generator. You don't add it to your small engine, your lawnmower, whatever. You fill up your flipping can of gas ahead of time. So I just filled this up with 5 gallons at the gas station. I'm going to take my fuel stabilizer. 1 ounce of this STA-BIL treats 2.5 gallons. So all you have to do is take off that small upper lid. You're going to squeeze the bottle. We're going to get 1 ounce. It's a little more than 1 ounce. That's fine. Get about 1 ounce in there, and we're going to dump it in the can. Now, the purpose of this is to keep that gas from gumming up, crystallizing, kind of getting all gelatinous, that's a cool word, in the carburetor and gumming it up, preventing whatever piece of equipment that you're putting it in from not starting, or starting really, really hard, or not running at all. Add it to the can, so any piece of equipment that you are filling up with gas already has stabilizer in it. I see a lot of people make the mistake of they just dump it in the gas tank and then they put their piece of equipment away. That doesn't do anything for the carburetor. That fuel stabilizer needs to be in the tank of gas, and the engine needs to be running so the fuel stabilizer gets in the carburetor before it gets put away for it to have any effect at all. All right, this is the very first start. So we're going to turn this to cold start on choke. That should let the fuel run. Let it sit for a second so fuel can get down in the carb. And let's hope this thing fires up after completely disassembling it. So let's see here. Good, good. Let it figure itself out for a second. Take my camera out of its holder. You got an auto idle. That's off. That's idle on. No load. This bottom bar would be the actual load on the generator. We put something to it. So I'm going to let this run for a little bit and idle, and let's see if it smooths out. It's a little bit rough, but it's getting smoother by the second. So very, very quiet. All right, so I'm loving this digital panel, and the app is even better. But let's talk about this digital panel for a minute, this display. Right now it's telling me I got 100% fuel. I have 0 load on the generator. And at idle, I've got 17 hours left of time on this 1.2 gallon tank. Now I've got auto idle. I can turn it off and it'll rev up, but like that. But let's turn it off, or turn it back on actually. It's gonna idle down, run nice and smooth. And now we're gonna take this heat gun and flip this heat gun on. I'm gonna put the heat gun on low, and it's gonna make it about a 60% load. And it's gonna recalculate the time per the engine load. That is awesome. So let's recalculate our time. Let's go ahead and put it on load. shows us a 60% load. And let's see how much time we've got left on this tank. Let's let it recalculate maybe one more time. It might change a little bit. Alright, so 6:49. That's a 60% load, so I got about 6.5 hours at a 60% load. Now let's go to 100% load. Well, maybe 90% load and see what it tells us there. So I got the heat gun on high. This thing is really revved up. Showing 5 hours, 39 minutes. Let's give it another second to calculate. Alright, so 5 hours and 1 minute on a 90% load is what I get on about a gallon of gas. Alright, I just turned the heat gun off. We got it back down to 0% load. It's going to recalculate. There we go. That control panel is awesome. And now let's talk about the app. Alright, so the app has the same things the control panel has, plus a bunch of extra stuff. So let's take a look. Coming in first, we've got our fuel level. So you can see on your phone or on your tablet or whatever you've got in your travel trailer, you can see your fuel level without having to go actually look at the generator. So that's cool. Next up, we have remaining time on the engine, just like I showed you on the control panel. We'll move down, we've got load level. So in 10% increments, it's going to show you what the engine's load is. Going down below that under engine shutdown, we have a button for engine stop. So I can press that and hold a button down and it will turn the generator off. So you don't have to go outside to turn it off. That is brilliant. I love it. Just to the right of that, I have a time delay shutdown. I can press that and actually set a timer. So if I want the generator to turn off in 2 hours, I set it for that and it will shut the generator off for me. Another brilliant feature that I'm not seeing in any other generators. That is awesome. Now let's press this little sub menu and see what other features are hidden in this app. Alright, so the two things I found really helpful in this little sub menu are the total run hours. So that, if you keep track of it, you can actually base your maintenance off of it. So when you're going to do your valve clearance, when you're going to change the oil, that kind of thing. So total run hours, that's awesome. In settings, there is the ability to turn off the little backlight screen on the generator so that it doesn't glow green at night if you don't want your generator just completely dark. That's good. You can add a second generator if you're going parallel mode, so you have that. Other than that, those were really the features that I saw in the sub-menu that I can use. So again, this app is worth its weight in gold. Let's change that oil. Alright, so we've hit the 30-minute mark on the generator. This is where I'm going to change the oil the first time. I'm going to change it hot so we can flush out a lot of the crap that's sitting in the engine right now. Alright, so let's get to changing oil on this thing. So I have removed the side cover. I removed this little oil fill door. It's just two Phillips screws that hold this little oil drain door, not fill, drain door on. And it looks pretty straightforward. So I've got my half-hour runtime on it before I want to dump this. Now it's going to be hot, so it's probably going to spill out a little bit because it's going to oil expanded, and it did just a little bit. And it's hot. I do my first oil changes hot because I want all the crap that's in this engine to run out. Now, it's got this little spout, so the actual drain goes right in this plastic piece and supposedly is going to roll out if I tip it. So let's find out if that's going to happen. And it did. That's actually really handy. My container should be just big enough to accommodate all the oil. Now I'm using a completely clear Sterilite container that I wiped out. What I use for small engine oil changes like this. I wiped it out really well because I want to see how much glitter we have in there, any particulates that we have in there. So we're waiting. You guys probably can't see this. You're probably seeing the top of the generator. But all right, so we've got our oil out, and let's go take a look at this oil. All right, so hopefully the camera's capturing this, but exactly as I expected with a brand new small engine with no filter, we have just glitter in the oil. It's a real light haze of glitter. Those are little metal particulates that are in the oil. That's exactly normal. Some people panic, oh God, I have a little bit of glitter in my oil. I can see a little bit of metal. That is totally normal for an engine without a filter, especially brand spanking new. I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary. This oil looks very good. Now again, this was a half-hour change. I'm going to put in some 1540 cheap Rotella T4 to run it for another hour, and then I'm going to do the same flush and kind of flush everything out and then see how it looks again. Now the glitter quantity should reduce at an hour. After that, I'm going to run Rotella T6. I'll go to a full synthetic 1540. That's just what I use. Use whatever you want. Regular maintenance far outweighs your oil brand or oil brand loyalty. I don't give a crap what brand you're loyal to, but Rotella is what I use. I use it in everything like Frank's Red Hot, but T6 is what I'll end up going to after this engine's broken in. But yeah, if you can see the glitter in there, and I hope you can, this is all completely normal. Good stuff. So that ended our first change. Put some fresh oil in, and I'm going to let her run again with a light load, no load, nothing over really 60% or much over 60%. So let's go get that done. All right, so filling oil on small engines. You've probably seen me use one of these before. This is a Mighty Vac fluid extractor. You can see the part number there. Check my video descriptions for links to this guy. But for small engines, this is a giant syringe, and this makes doing oil very, very easy. I'm going to stick the tip of this big old syringe into my oil that I'm going to be changing or extracting and then filling, and then I'm just going to suck it up in this big old syringe. Just takes a second to fill her up, and this provides for a super clean change. Now you can see the oil, brand new oil in here. All I have to do is then stick it down in the oil fill hole and fill the engine up. And I like doing this because I can actually see down into the engine as I fill it. So once I get it all the way full, I can see right at the point when it's going to start to run out. And I can stop without making a mess. I can usually do an oil fill without spilling a drop. Usually. So we're just kind of injecting a little bit more. Wasn't sure how much. I can actually start to see the oil down in there. So we're just about there. All right, just doing little bits now. So let's see where we end up. There she goes. Oil came, sucked just a little bit out. Oil came right up to the very tip, and I didn't spill a single drop. That's why I love using a fluid extractor for doing this. We'll put our oil cap back on. I'm probably going to leave this little bit of paper towel in this plug, just kind of soak everything up before I put my cover on. But we're breaking this in anyways, so I'm going to let it run for another hour just as I described. We'll do another change, and after that, for me personally, I consider this engine pretty much broken in for normal use. I'm not going to do anything beyond that. I'll be changing it on the regular. You can kind of pick your poison on changes. The manufacturer says every 100 hours. I think that's too much for a small engine like this to not check oil or let run. I usually change it after a weekend of camping. Every 3-4 days, I'll just change the oil. It's just kind of what I do. So, but do it however you like. That's what I do. Hope that helps some of you guys on the oil change.
1 hour later, and we are set.
Thought you guys might want to take a look at this video. This is the second oil change at 1.5 hours. As I expected, there is about, I would say maybe 25% of the glitter in the oil that was in the first change. So a lot of that's been washed out. That's exactly where I want it. So I've gone ahead and switched over to full synthetic T6 1540, and I'm putting the generator away until I need it. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Talk to you soon.
All right, so that is it for this video. I really appreciate everybody watching. If you saw anything that you could make use of in this video, it's probably in the video description below. Please click on those links and buy from those links. Those help me do what I do. They help make me a little bit of money on the side so I can do more videos like this. So yeah, again, thank you for your time. Subscribe, and I will catch you guys later.